I was taking a one. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 41 of the Purple Hyacinth podcast on the Story Tinker, titled Royal Retaliation. And today we have Rin and Fwoot.
Hello, I'm back again.
And she is back for a very special reason. Rin, who is your favorite character?
Oh, as just like my profile pic showed in this video, it's Dakan.
Aww. So we are here to unite Rin with her lover and get them as much screen time together as possible.
Oh gosh.
I mean, he doesn't know of your existence yet, so we kind of have to like tell him, and this is the perfect time to do so.
The introduction of Dakan Rhymsel in this episode.
Awesome. Okay, so we just concluded the last episode with the gruesome killing of like 1 billion people in the tower by our darling assassin 𝗪𝗏. And we wake up this morning with a totally peaceful and calm scene. We see a bureau, we see a dresser, and we see Kim getting dressed, looking out the window. And in the corner, we see two things. We see a picture of looks like a family picture. Well, it's a picture, and it has 4 people in the picture. And there's also the watch that she always wears, the pocket watch, is on her bed. And we actually have it kind of, we see her picking up the pocket watch and taking her gun, and all the time while the picture is in the background. So it's like it's in like several frames. So we're meant to notice that picture. So what are your theories on the picture and its contents?
Sibling, whoever DL is, they're a sibling, because like, I mean, I guess it could be a grandparent, but looking at the heights in that photo, we see that there are 2 figures who are about the same height. Then we have who we assume is Kim, who is shorter than both those 2 figures, and then we have a figure that's taller than all 3 figures, and that is maybe her dad. I mean, it could also be her mom, depending, but a little bit further down, we can't really tell which one of them is taller. But yeah, it could be a sibling, though I've also theorized that it could be a grandparent.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find my grandparent theory.
Okay.
You have a grandparent theory?
There's a theory for everything here, huh?
Yeah. As expected from Fwoot.
So meanwhile, she grabs her coat and she goes to leave, and she tells her parents, like, Mom, Dad, I'll be leaving now. And they're cute. They're sitting at this kitchen table. Seems like a pretty humble home, clean, wooden, simple. And her mom's wearing an apron, I think, and serving breakfast, sitting at the table. So looks like a nice homey atmosphere. Anyway, she leaves, she goes out the door, and there is a newspaper at her doorstep. She picks it up, it's the journal. She yawns and takes a look at the title page, at which her face just goes in shock. So whatever it was, we can guess, Kim is in shock. So yeah, pretty good chance it's the massacre last night.
Okay, I found the theory. So my theory says, it's really short. Like she said, pocket watches are more associated with age and with more vintage eras and communicate a sense of oldness to us. And the watch is fancy, like as in the golden pocket watch, because we know that that is likely DL's. And I'm not sure how soon a sibling, even if 10 years older, would be able to afford it, especially if just coming from a middle-class background. Because if we look at the Liddell's household, it's pretty modest, like compared to Lauren's household or Kieran's, or it's more like Kieran's, right? And Kieran's isn't super high up socially, but even then, like their house is pretty plain. There's not a lot of extravagance. Like Kim's gold watch is like what the seemingly most expensive thing, like individually, because it seems gold plated, if not like a more rare metal. And then like their living room are simple wood chairs, simple wood sofas, simple wood table. Like that is like pretty modest. So it does show us that Kim, unlike Will and Lauren comes from a poorer background. So middle class, if not in between middle class and lower class.
Yeah. Well, no, it's interesting. It could actually be from the grandparent passed down to the sibling. That could be another on like a momentous occasion, like, maybe graduating the police academy. I don't know.
I mean, I can't say the outside interior of Kim's house does look like a typical Londoner's house.
Yeah, I think, minor spoilers, but we come back to this house a little bit later on, and I always notice that the street looks so much like it looks a lot like London, and the architecture is really pretty.
Yep. And speaking of architecture, we now move on to the next part of this episode, and we see the stunning architecture, which is the palace. And we get the view of the turrets and towers. And now we get a bird's eye view of somebody running down this carpet. It's a beautiful like hallway, marble floors, columns, beautiful red carpet. And he's running down with a red cape because he's running fast because the cape is billowing behind him. And he is, kind of approaching the door fast. There's guards in front of the door, and he clacks the door open. And here we are introduced to, this is the profile picture you have, Rin.
Heaven's gate has opened.
Yes, a rather stunning man with green eyes. Maybe in his early 40s, I think. How old do you think he looks to you?
Initially, probably I have bad eyesight, but I thought he was like in his 20s.
Yeah. You're like, you just wanted him to be closer in age to you.
Before things get added later down the road.
I always thought
that he was 39 and a half, so I'm like, 40 is quite all right with me.
Yeah, I always thought that he was like around 40. Like maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger, but 40 is where I've always placed him. Because I don't know.
We're gonna learn more about, the timing based on like things that happen, and then we can deduce more about his age from there. So he comes in, and he is, dressed in this elegant military-like uniform, opens the door, looks perturbed, and we see his name is Dakan Rhymsel, or Dakan, the king's right hand. Okay, so he's got a pretty important position. And now we have a horizontal shot where Dakan is standing at the edge of this large room with windows. There's this long table with chairs, and at the end of it is the king with somebody standing behind him, and the queen, or somebody in an elegant dress who introduces the queen because she has a crown, looking maybe a little shady over there. She's literally in the shade. I'm just saying.
Shady queen.
Yeah, and I think that's Jimmy Carter behind her in the portrait. So the king, says, and, the page behind him also looks. And we have the High King of our 𝗪𝗲𝗃, 𝗪𝗲𝗃, whatever. So he's been, looks up from the papers. And then we have the Queen, the High Queen of our 𝗪𝗃, 𝗪𝗲𝗃. Her dress is stunning, by the way. I just have to say, it's like, I'm like, who wears this dress at like 8 in the morning to do like, I don't know, paper work? Like,
I agree. And a backless dress.
She's like literally a queen though.
Yeah.
Like an actual queen. She has the money and like, the power to abuse that money. But honestly, besties, it's seriously the best we can do right now. Like, it's a pretty dress, but those sleeves are not it. I'm sorry.
Like the sleeves, they're too long.
If you are going to be an oppressive force, at least make sure your outfit looks beautiful and magnificent. If doing so, like you have the corset already on the right step, but we need some battle armor in there, and then we need some maybe black nail polish, and then your crown. The hair looks great, but your crown, bestie.
The crown is
Get
too
something to
small.
hold it down. It's gonna fall off.
Girl is going the medieval route.
Yeah. Yeah, there's also, she gives me more like Middle Ages vibes than like Victorian era. Like I want to see her in a more like Victorian looking dress. Maybe because she's older, maybe something from like the 18th, like the early 19th century. So a bit more on the, what's it called? The Pride and Prejudice era, if you know what I mean. Not Bridgerton. Not Bridgerton.
But that's
like,
that was late 1700s, I think.
Yeah. So
It's
I
maybe-
can't remember what it's called.
Regency?
The era. Oh my god. Basically high busts, like high busts, long skirts, and then gathering in the back. That would have been cool to see if she was old fashioned. But Pesty, you are like 300 years late. What is this?
I think her outfit is great. So I'm gonna defend her fashion choices. I mean,
I like her outfit until the sleeves.
I think this is the kind of dress you only wear on like formal occasions. Like I don't think it's an everyday dress, but whatever. Maybe she likes to dress to impress every day.
Not gonna lie, like I do get tempted to wear Battler's top or dress because of this outfit.
Remember I once got dressed up in like Victorian style clothing and I was like, oh my god, I want to wear this every day. And there actually is someone who does that. Said someone, it's a guy who he dresses in Regency clothing every day. It's really cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll send you his Instagram later. Anywho, so Dakan takes the knee and he says, Your Majesty, my queen, which is like, I guess he's referring first to the king, but already, he's definitely including the queen in there. So she's clearly an equal in that relationship, if not more, as we'll see. And the king says, Sir Rhymsel, what is going? And Dakan looks down and he interrupts him and he says, the Purple Hyacinth has struck again. Every Phantom Scythe member that Lune exposed is dead. It's already all over the papers. And the queen says, everyone, but, sorry, I have to switch to but they were imprisoned in the tower. And Dakan says, and he's like yelling, he's still looking down. He says, yes, he slit the guards' throats on his way in and then went straight for the prisoners. And then he looks up, the king, puts his hands to his eyes, he sighs, and he says, guards, leave us. And they do. And then we get another aerial shot. The king is at his, this table with paperwork in front of him. Queen and Dakan are there. Dakan they all come closer to the king. And Dakan says, the people are afraid, Philip. Aww. So his first concern is for the people, which is great.
What a great man.
Yeah. As of now.
However,
hey.
However, he may not be concerned about the people. I just want to say that the people are concerned could always be like, hey, if we don't do something, then you might lose your status and your power because the people will overthrow you. So just because he says the people are concerned doesn't mean that he is like concerned for them. It could also mean that like, hey, this could be code for like your power is under threat. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
Dakan,
but
I have faith in Dakan, but like,
we like him, so we're going to judge him favorably.
That's why Kieran doesn't get enough criticism. That doesn't get enough criticism.
Yes, no, it's true. A handsome face will turn many minds. And he continues. They're one breath away from rioting on the streets. Chief Sinclair managed to stop for a vote last time, but the shock is much more serious now. And also, we're just noticing he right away mentions Chief Sinclair as being capable and, here, notice what this guy has done. Just saying, keep that in mind. Maybe he appreciates this fellow.
My eyes are opening.
Right? I just noticed that now on this reread. And the king says, the assassins snuck inside the tower, the most highly guarded section of the prison, like it was a vulgar shop. Okay, dude, since when is a shop vulgar exactly, but whatever. Nothing will prevent him from infiltrating the castle next time. So he's worried about himself. Not surprised, right? Most people do that. And then Dakan turns around and says, the leader didn't send his most infamous assassin there for nothing. It was a calculated risk. and he is sending us a message, and we get a flashback to, you know, everyone dead on the floor in the tower. And Fwoot, you can take over.
Well, so yeah, we see a flashback to episode 40, and the corpse is on the floor. You know, lovely, so aesthetic. Kieran, find a better you know, Friday night evening event. So this is probably like what the other guards woke up on when people came in. This is likely what they found. So Phil, I don't remember his name. Yeah, Philip, I think. He had them killed before they could reveal anything more to the police. His pawns mean nothing to them. And Elizabeth says, why should they? He blew up a train station full of civilians just to kill one man. Who knows what he'd do to ruin any progress we're making with 𝗥𝗲𝗃 and the others. And Dakan, who is at the window looking over at Hellas, says, the Phantom Scythe has been growing increasingly active for a while now, and people fear another Allendale. And then Philip says, and they are right to be afraid. We have always known that such a catastrophe is bound to recur, so long as the Phantom Scythe remains undefeated. And Dakan says, no, this country can't afford to lose another king at the hands of these criminals. We will prevent it, Philip. And
also interesting that it's interesting that Dakan, you know, feeding into what you were saying, Phil, he does, instead of saying, oh, we can't lose like hundreds of civilians, he says we can't lose another king. I'm like,
Ooh, good point.
Sorry.
Shade.
Back. I have my personal theory about Queen Elizabeth and her susness. So if you notice when she says, you know, why should they? He blew up a train station full of civilians just to kill one man. She's like looking to the side. I don't know, you know, when you want to avoid being honest, you look to the side.
Yeah.
Just saying.
No one has ever looked to their side and avoided being sussed by someone else. Like Elizabeth is also being bathed in a lot of shadows right now, and that like basically gave me paranoia for a year. I still have that paranoia, but Elizabeth legit be looking like the Phantom Scythe leader. And then the cherry on top, I think I mentioned this, but like a really long time ago. For those who may not know, there was a theory called the ruffle theory. And this theory, it's been so long since I've talked about it. Let me have this one. It's been months since this was relevant, but this theory basically told us that like the Phantom Scythe hierarchy was based off whether these characters were ruffles or not.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
So
iconic.
3 layers of ruffles meant a messenger. 2 layers of ruffles, so like, you know, 2 ruffles stacked on top of the like, you know, on the neck meant apostle, and then 1 layer meant the leader. And if you look at Elizabeth, she technically has 2 ruffles, but they're like side by side. They're not on top of each other, meaning she actually only has 1 ruffle layer, which means she's the leader. Yeah, that was the mental state of fan theories for the longest time.
Wanting to overthrow her own husband.
So my theory about
girl
Elizabeth,
boss. Oh my.
I think that she was responsible for the killing of King Edward because she wanted to get him out of the way so she could rule. And it seems to be that she dominates King Philip, and we'll see this a little bit more in their interaction. And like right after he says, you know, oh, this country can't afford to lose another leader, she looks again suspicious. There's another panel just of her. So I'm like, were you the one to make them lose that leader? And, you know, she looks suspicious when she says, oh, he would blow up an entire train station just to kill 1 man. Was it you, Elizabeth? Did you blow up an entire train station just to kill 1 man? Anyway, that's my theory. And
I agree with that theory.
Oh yeah, same. I have a theory related to that. I guess we'll say it. It's kind of influenced by what we know from later episodes, but oh well. it's no direct spoilers, but
Go ahead.
basically my theory is that Elizabeth isn't the leader. However, she is in collaboration with the Phantom Scythe to basically take out like the current monarchy, because one of my friends on Discord, her name's 𝗥𝗲𝗱𝗏, she's lovely, she's brilliant. She always says, like, she used to always say this, but she used to always say, I have no idea how 𝗪𝗏𝗏 hasn't been annexed at this point. And I'm like, but what if like a foreign country is trying to, and they're in collaboration with the Phantom Scythe to take over 𝗪𝗏𝗏, because someone has to be supplying the Phantom Scythe with bombs. And I think they're going to have a harder time importing them domestically. So the Phantom Scythe, because it could have gone so powerful by working with foreign nations to like overtake 𝗪𝗏𝗏. And so Elizabeth had to come from somewhere, right? She had to come from some foreign nation, likely. I really hope that it wasn't real, she didn't come like, somewhere from 𝗪𝗏𝗏, because there might be a little bit of the we're accidentally related bit in there, like if she does come from like 𝗪𝗏𝗏. So if she's in the positions where it's like high king, high queen, it was likely that her marriage was a like treaty, I guess, between two nations. So 𝗪𝗏𝗏 could like be trying to, get a good relationship with another nation. However, that nation might have put Elizabeth in to take control, right? And then when the Phantom Scythe actually came, they were like, oh shoot, we can team up with the Phantom Scythe. Because Elizabeth has a son that's about 9 or 10 years old. We don't actually know between those two ages. So she has been around at least since like Allendale. However, she's probably been around longer. So it's likely that this foreign nation, if this theory is true, has been planning the takeover of 𝗪𝗏𝗏 for a while now. And then the Phantom Scythe popping up was also like, hey, this is good. This is good. We can use the Phantom Scythe. Because like I'm just saying, allying themselves with like violent groups is not something that's totally different from what we see in IRL politics.
So I also agree. I don't think she's the actual leader, because we have like several things, especially like later on, saying that the leader is male. But I definitely think she's collaborating in some way, or she's behind something. Yeah, and there's definitely more we could talk about that is kind of, not right now. So I guess we'll discuss it when we get to it. But that kind of like has me wondering. But anyway, we'll get to it when we get to it.
So while Dakan is staring out the window, looking majestic, his shadow is just, it's like, he fits right in that window in the center part. Elizabeth is doing a side-eye shifty glance. Shawty, we see you. And Dakan says, I swore it to you on my life. And then he turns back and he gives a slight smile and he says, things have been much better under your reign. You've gained the sympathy of the people. And then his eyebrows furrow like a bit, and he says, they'll fight for you against these monsters. And Elizabeth says, Rhymsel is right. The situation is much different now. You are much more popular than your father. And that's thanks to you both. Notice how she casts a shadow on him. Okay, so Elizabeth, like, she goes up to Philip and she puts her hands on his shoulder. I'm just saying. Ooh. She looks hella sus in this moment. Like,
so manipulative to me.
She's literally holding him like a puppet, right?
Ugh.
That's
like
what
he's literally a puppet to be used.
Very true.
Elizabeth is literally the personification of gaslight gatekeep girl boss. Like, that's the same thing. She is gaslight Gatekeep girl boss.
Never
Ooh,
heard of
can
that
I
that
mention? Oh,
description, but
sorry.
sounds good. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was about to say, like, do you guys notice how the queen's face was in the dark in comparison to Dakon's face facing towards the light, and the king sits between them, his face half light, half in the dark, because they both have power over him to lead him into different directions.
Yep. Philip has no free will of his own, okay? It's either Dakan or Elizabeth. Both are controlling him, right?
Yeah, he seems easily swayed. I mean, like, he's also unaware of it. He tells them that's thanks to you both. You know, he's a grateful guy. You've both been of tremendous help to me after his death. You know, like, seems nice enough. And like sometimes people who are too nice are manipulated by other people.
Yeah, he's like the epitome of privilege. Like, he has no idea what's actually going on, and that is because of his position. Like, he's just been so freaking sheltered. Either that or he literally doesn't care, because as king, you think he'd probably be briefed on a lot of stuff. But I think it's more that he doesn't understand the gravity of what's going on.
I don't know. I don't think we know enough yet, but I think from this interaction, at least, he does seem to be involved and aware and not unsympathetic. But I mean, I think we don't know, his character hasn't been fleshed out fully, honestly. So I don't think we really know enough to do a full judgment.
Mm-hmm. Which is a shame, because I think this is one of like the most unique episodes in PH, because of course we're introduced to a bunch of characters that we only see like, you know, once in the season, but it's also interesting because instead of doing like character reactions, we see the monarchy instead. So we could have seen like what Kieran, Lauren, Kim, Will, whatever, what they were doing after the massacre. But no, we don't. We see the monarchy instead, which I feel like is a really underrated moment, because it was just such a perfect time to show us the authority figures in Artalis and them reacting to it instead. And I think like them coming from an outside perspective will always be more powerful than like immediately having like Lauren's reaction to it, because it sets the stage for what comes next.
And it expands the world building of Purple Hyacinth as well.
Mm-hmm. Because like this is a moment that the authorities would be discussing, so it makes sense that they are, and I think it's really cool that we got to see that scene, and especially that this is how these characters are introduced to us in the middle, or not in the middle, but on the brink of crisis.
Right.
So so Philip says, and that's thanks to you both. You both have been tremendous help with me after his death, implying Edward, so his dad. And Elizabeth, whose face is almost 100% in the shadows, is giving a very creepy smile. I don't trust her at all.
It's like supportive wife smile or I got my way smile.
Yeah, it could be both ways.
So Philip turns and he says, "What do you suggest I do, Dakan? Elizabeth, you've always been better with the people than me." And that is the panel that Bryn was referring to, where Elizabeth is in the shadows, Dakan is in the light, and then Philip, his face is literally half and half right now. This man cannot decide.
Totally suggesting, right, that Dakan is the one who leads him in the light path, like, you know, for the people. As we see, seems like Dakan always advocates for the people. Elizabeth is the one leading him to the dark path. You know, she's the dark half and he's the light half.
And thus is born a ship. No, actually, we have to wait for that.
That's for later.
Don't look at me.
Right, I am looking at one person in this Zoom call right now.
I have two hands for a reason. One for one ship and one for the other, okay?
That was, I'm just gonna say, when that ship was a thing, that was a very exciting time. to be in the Purple Hyacinth fandom. We were wild.
Wait, who was shipping who with who?
Elizabeth and Dakan.
Oh dear.
Dakan Beth. It was beautiful.
Guilty pleasure.
They even had a
Don't
theme
burn.
song.
The fandom's burning me at the stake as we speak.
Well,
But yeah, it was fun. Like, stuff happened since, but like, you know, it was really funny. It was fun. And
I enjoy every
Yeah.
single moment.
yeah. Oh, I miss that time. But I will say the new shows that we have is really nice as well.
Yes.
much
I
better.
love- Okay, but it's funny though because like it was born on stream, like the ship, but then when the episode came out, we were like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. So anyways, Dakan says, I told you the people need reassuring. You need to make a public announcement. And Elizabeth is watching him from the shadows while Dakan is still in the light. However, her face comes into a bit of light as she says, measures need to be taken against these criminals. They deserve to be hanged. But since you abolished the death penalty, you'll need a softer way to get the message through.
Can't stand her. She's so
Oh my
honestly, by the way,
God.
she's
Iconic. She thinks the death penalty is necessary. Shoddy.
right. I mean, like, yeah, his first thought is the people, her first thought is punishment. And like, yeah, I understand murderers need to be punished, but you could just tell her personality by what she's most interested in. And she's also blaming like Philip.
Yeah.
She's like, you abolished the death penalty. She's so subtly corrosive, emotionally abusive, I think she is. I mean, this is just one hint, and I would love to see like more of this, but I have a feeling she's a very emotionally abusive person, like manipulative, like putting these little lines in, making him doubt himself, making him feel like he's not competent, that he has to turn to other people. I can so see her twisting her husband's mind and making him feel worthless. Ugh.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Gaslight gatekeep girl boss. She's gaslighting the king, gatekeeping the lower classes of Artalis and the Phantom Scythe, because like, you know, the Phantom Scythe has, as like Lauren said in the previous episode, like Harvey must have been like pretty desperate to join the Phantom Scythe. That's probably the position of a lot of lower class citizens in Artalis, if like they're turning to terrorism to pay the bills. But like gatekeeping the lower classes of Artalis and then girl bossing her way to the top of the Artalis monarchy. Like, she is going to be in like complete control if she can get rid of Dakan. So yes, Elizabeth is Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss.
Good title.
So Philip says, again, his face is half in light, half in shadow. He says, you are right. We must not show fear. I will double the bounty on the Purple Hyacinth's head and anyone suspected of helping him, which is bad for us because we know that Lauren has been working with him with the Purple Hyacinth as Lune. And she is Lauren is technically an enabler of the Purple Hyacinth. Because like, although even if she like turned the Purple Hyacinth in, like the people would still probably die, just replaced with another assassin, she is still enabling the Purple Hyacinth himself to still commit violent acts of crime.
Definitely bad news for her. And also, do you notice that Queen Elizabeth is like placing her hand on his shoulder? So again, it's so manipulative because she's like, oh, I'm supporting you. I love you. But this is really a persuasion tactic to make you do what I say. Because, you know, it's now he's going to associate it with, oh, my supportive, loving wife. Of course, you know, I'm going to do this. It's so manipulative. She's very
earlier I said that like it kind of reminds me of like, you know, a puppet master and a puppet. Like, she is holding him from like the top, she's standing while he's sitting, she's in the one who's more ready to take control. Like, she's the one who has the power here. And like in all the, if you look at them in so many of the Philip panels, like there's so little Philip panels where Elizabeth isn't standing above him or standing taller than him, like behind him. So like that's some very
good
very
symbolism.
interesting character placement you have right there, Sophina.
That's perfect. So good.
So then we cut to outside the castle. Oh my god, I did not know this panel existed. Okay, sorry, I just had a moment because I had to draw the castle recently for a project, like the 𝗪𝗪𝗃 castle, and I had this different panel that uses reference, but it was from a completely different perspective, and this perspective is the perspective that I needed.
Oh my god.
But anyways, so Lauren is walking with Will, Lucas, Kim, and Harvey Imposter, and she says, "What is up with these two? They've been avoiding each other all morning." And she's thinking this to herself. And she notices something, and there seems to be movement behind her. And she thinks, we're not taking the usual path. And we see that there are a bunch of people rushing, and they're looking really serious while running. I don't think I've seen anyone look that serious while running. Like, running is such a silly motion. Why are you looking serious doing it? You don't look great.
It looks funny.
So we see that on the street or bridge, can't quite tell, there's a lot of people like sort of gathering, which is not COVID safe. I hope you guys have your masks. And Lauren stops and she's like, huh? And she notices, Will, why are we stopping here? And she tells that to Will as she turns to him, and he says, we have a much better view of the castle from here. And Lauren's like, but why? And Kim walks up behind them and she says, haven't you heard? The king is going to make a public announcement. And Lauren says, I didn't know. And Will says, didn't your uncle tell you? And Lauren replies, no, he left in a hurry this morning, but why would the king? And Kim picks up a newspaper and says, Lauren, he struck again last night. The Purple Hyacinth. And she lifts the newspaper to Lauren's face, and her expression is one of pure shock and terror. And she stumbles back and she says, what? Who did he murder? And Kim said, I think it's Kim. He said,
probably, yeah.
Will, one of the two. One of them says, he infiltrated the tower and killed every single guard who crossed his path. And then he murdered all of Lune's convicts. And Lauren is just looking absolutely dead inside in the last
distraught
panel.
Dun dun dun. This is where it goes upside down.
And then one of the top comments says, he about to get his ass beat.
Oh god. Oh my gosh. I love the way this story is written. It's just, the dramatic moments are just perfect. Oh.
I actually don't really read the webtoon comments, but I did for the past few days for this podcast. And then some of them were like, the Queen and Dakan are having an affair. I was like, what?
Well, anytime there's two people in a room, we may as well try to ship them together, right? It's like, the permutations, combinations thing where you have to try to put every combination possible. I think that's what the fan does. Will and Lauren, Will and Kim, Will and Herman, Will and Kiki. It's like,
my God.
You have to come up with every possible permutation.
This is how crack ships are born.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Oh, my favorite, or one of my favorite crack ships, again, since we're on the topic of the monarchy. Yes, pair. They're so cute. And they've literally never interacted. But because Elizabeth is a controlling, manipulative girl boss, it's likely that her son hasn't really been exposed to what's really going on in 𝗪𝗪𝗃, because he's probably so sheltered that a butterfly could land on him and he would probably have a heart attack from shock and die. And so what if this kid accidentally met 𝗥𝗏𝗃's kid, and then 𝗥𝗏𝗃, his dad was Phantom Scythe, and this is likely when they're older, but it would be really cute when they're young. It's just like them hanging out, like, you know, having fun as kids, but then also them just kind of growing up together. Oh, so cute. But anyway.
I'm just laughing how we can't seem to get away from the crack ships.
I know, but it's a good one. It's a good crack ship. Okay, it's not crack, it's wholesome. It's
We
just
talk
wholesome all
about
around.
it in the 86 podcast, and here we are again.
What is life?
It's
if not
awesome.
good?
But yeah.
Everyone's listening to this and be like, not this again.
Oh my god. Mary, or sorry, not. It seems like Mary, like, if she came on the podcast, like how she'd be reacting over talking right now.
Oh gosh,
Also,
I would
like,
love
Bryn,
to, but
I
I feel
feel
like
like
I'm
you
too
come on the
shy
podcast.
today.
I love how you like come on the podcast only to hear me like scream about pear, even though pear is like irrelevant.
Here, I'm trying to say PAI.
P-E-A-R, I think. Because we have a fan name for the 𝗥𝗏𝗃 kid, and that is Peter. So it's Peter and Arthur. Because that is the name of the prince.
Okay. Wait, and who's PE?
Pear. Because we have like kiwi and then we have pear. So it's like two fruits.
Okay. Who's the Peter? Peter is the fan name for.
The 𝗥𝗏𝗃 kid.
Oh, okay. This is like sophisticated level of knowledge over here. Like, it has to be.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the prince's name was Arthur. Is that verified? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I asked back in the day, I asked how old he was. Because I don't remember why. I think we were just trying to get like an approximate age. But like she said it was 9 to 10 years old. Let me see if she said anything about the queen or king. Because I feel like she said that like it was I think she said that like it wasn't. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, it wasn't actually me. Okay, I'm thinking of a different question. But one of my theory friends, one of my old friends said, DJ, she said, if not a spoiler, how old is the Prince of Artalis? And F said about 9 to 10. So I'm probably thinking of a different question. Let me see. Because I feel like I asked about ages at one point. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay, well,
Oh,
let's
I
try
can't.
to. Did you find it?
Yeah, no, I couldn't find it.
Okay. So,
Anyways.
what are your final non-crack ship crazy theory thoughts on this?
Elizabeth do be giving me like is down for systemic oppression. Like, you know, she paints her nails with it. She applies it on her lips. She like, you know, has it throughout her makeup palette. It's woven into the fabric of her dress. She is giving me like a bit of a capitalist vibes where like you have to work for everything on your own and like it's very independent and like your faults are only your own. But yeah, she gives me very like I caused the Phantom Scythe and I'm the reason for it, but you won't see me taking responsibility anytime soon.
Actually, what I was thinking as well is, if a royalty like Philip doesn't know much about his people, how does Lisbeth know better despite being of royalty too, like in the same position?
Oh, that's the other thing. We don't know that she's from royalty, which somebody else had this theory that maybe, and this also leads to what she does and says later on, and maybe she's not actually from royalty, but also she probably is motivated. You know, if she has an interest in being in control, she probably, she seems intelligent. She probably makes it her business to know what's going on and meddle in everything. Philip may be more naive. He is more naive and less capable. I mean, and also, yeah, we don't know their background. So maybe Philip didn't receive good enough training and Elizabeth did. We don't know where they, more enough about them.
I mean, unpopular opinion, but I quite like Elizabeth, not for her views and morals, but the potential in how devilish she could be.
Oh yeah.
Be interesting to explore further.
Yeah, because like we have the whole Phantom Scythe drama going on right now, and like the leader supposedly being the big bad right now. But Elizabeth, she's a whole giant issue all on her own. Like we just met the lady who is the reason the Phantom Scythe is around, right? Because the Phantom Scythe rose to fight class oppression, and she's like, yes, let's oppress the classes. That's like everything she's doing right now. So like if the Phantom Scythe is to be taken down, this whole mess over here needs to be addressed, and I'm really happy that PH is taking that route, because a lot of times in stories they'll deal with like an antagonist, but they won't really deal with the main root of where the antagonist comes from. And seeing this in PH is honestly so refreshing.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the strengths of the story is that it delves really deep into like moral complexity and people's motivations, and it just does not do black and white, and it makes you re-question your opinions, every like 10 or 20 episodes. You rethink something that you thought for sure you knew about a character or a concept, and then suddenly you find yourself thinking something else.
Everything's morally gray.
Especially in this pandemic when we all have extra time to think. It is a lot.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. And I can't wait to keep discussing this whole arc because we're going to get more. And yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me again.
You're welcome. Bye. Have a great day.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.